So you talked a lot about what animals mean to human beings. What do you think we mean to the animals, to a pet?
It seemed to me that if I was going to find a way of talking about how human beings really are central and different beings in the cosmos, that we're set apart from the rest of creation, what do we mean to animals? I mean, we cause an awful lot of trouble, and we've messed up an awful lot of the world. And we don't always do such nice things to animals. And animals aren't capable of thinking in the way we are about them. So what do we mean to an animal? I had a moment once when I was actually with Mercury, and I was working on a piece of writing, and he was down on the floor, and he looked up at me. And in the way he looked up at me, it reminded me of a lot of reading I'd done about what people used to talk about, the great chain of being. It's an idea that was born in Greece and was very popular in the Middle Ages. And it's the idea that we live in a world that moves upward in levels. And everybody in the Middle Ages in Europe tended to think this way. You start with a rock. A rock is made of matter, but it's not conscious or anything like that. There's no life to it. You move up to plants. Plants have life, but they don't move around, and there's not much in terms of consciousness going on with a plant. Then you move up to animals. Animals are conscious. They have matter, they have life, and they have consciousness. Up, up, up. And then you get to human beings. And there's something about the way human beings are conscious that sets us apart from animal creation. And the scholars of the Middle Ages all knew and talked about this. But it didn't stop there. In terms of the Middle Ages, they would talk about the angelic hierarchies and stuff like that. And I realized looking down at Mercury and watching him look up at me that we were interacting with each other from two different levels of the great chain of being. And if you are somebody who has spiritual beliefs, you can look down at your dog, see him looking up at you, and you can know that you in turn are looking up to somebody else who is above you. In the Middle Ages, that was typically the angel in charge of looking out for you. And then you move up from them and you get to God. But it's this idea of living in a universe where we're all connected, but there is an up and a down. Because Mercury did look up to me to say, what are we going to do now? Are we going to go for a walk? It didn't mean that I was better than Mercury, but it meant that I was different, and it meant that he knew it. And I think that in the case of domesticated animals especially, there is something about looking to human beings. Animals sense that we're different. I mean, I think a lot of people who deal with animals, from people who work on farms to pet owners, all kinds of people could tell you this, that animals look at us and they know that there's something about us that sets us apart. I know a lot of people who write books about dogs say, a dog thinks you're a member of his pack, and he just thinks you're the biggest, smartest dog who has the most money in the pack. I don't think it's true. I don't think dogs look at us as pack members. I think they know we're different. I think a dog
I totally agree with you. I think that the dogs absolutely know that the relationship is different between them with us than them with other dogs and them with other animals.
Right.
And that's absolutely true.
Right.
And there is a kind of hierarchy, but it's also, it's like a hierarchy of equality.
Exactly. And that is, I mean, if you look at, in the book, I say that the root of hierarchy is holy structure. If you take arche, structure, and higher, which is the root of holy in it, and I'm not even sure that's the exact correct derivation, but I put it in because I liked it. Because I think originally, hierarchy didn't have this bossy, the idea of a boss pushing somebody around. It didn't have dominance. It didn't have all this sort of power structure. It was the fact that the universe is a coherent piece of architecture, and it goes from down and it goes up, and everything is connected, and there's movement back and forth in between the levels, but there are levels.